Saseni mkofiti, manze nimewamiss, manze nimewahata. Welcome to Celes Reflection. You guys keep me going, manze. Thank you so much. I remember when we started, kwa ile AGM yetu, niliwaambia if you have a story that you feel that it can impact someone, ama it can motivate, ama encourage someone, ama inspire, ama tu itupatie tu hope, it will encourage you in a way. Maybe your life story, like your personal journey. Reach out to this email. And guess what? Today we have our first guest mwenye reach out to this email. So maybe next time itakuwa wewe. Yani I'm so happy because now that makes me feel like now I'm talking to you guys. Inanishow enye kwa hiyo AGM tulikuwa pamoja, nikiwaambia mnapokea in a way. So I'm grateful. Thank you for all those emails that are coming in. Tunaenanga tukinarrow down one by one. But yeah, if you have something that you feel nikisema kwa Celes itasaidia mtu mwingine, email ndo hii, thecelestindinda@gmail.com. So today we have our first guest, Leah. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here.
Mimi sasa ndo nafaa niseme it's an honor for you. Kuniambia Cele, I want to share this and this. You took your time, ukatuma email.
Yeah. And thank you actually for responding to the email.
That's why I'm here. Mimi ndo nawaambia watume email. So lazima ni respond.
Like watu wakiapply at a job hata upatangi regret, upatangi anything. So by the fact that uli respond, thank you for responding.
Yeah, so guys, mimi nita respond. Just send your email. Depending na story venye iko, we'll have you here. Kama ita inspire mtu mmoja, wawili, watatu, I'll be happy.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, Leah, so mimi niliona, of course it was just in brief, singeza ku understand, but nikasema now that you're coming to sikia story yako, at least me and my people, our viewers.
All right, so like I said, thank you so much for having me. I'll begin by introducing myself. So my name is Leah Njoya, and I'm a transformation life coach. So I think it would be important for me to explain how I came about being a transformation life coach. So I'll probably say what I do at the end.
Yeah.
So that watu watashikanisha where it's all coming from. So apart from that, I am a mother. I have 2 beautiful girls.
Wow.
And then I'm a wife and also an entrepreneur. I run 3 businesses.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah, so that is just what I do. If I could just go into my story. I grew up in Mombasa. Sisi ni wale wa pwani. I know my English, unajua people who grow up in Mombasa, their English is so different. Iko na Uswahili, but I think ni kukaa Nairobi sana. So yeah, I grew up in Mombasa and I'm a second born in a family of 3. So basic, just normal childhood. Everything was okay. My dad then was working for KPA. My mom, a primary school teacher. And then as life went by, when I was, I think 5.5, I lost my dad. And then, it was not like a big deal because, we were young. I was young, and also I had my mother. So it wasn't much of a big deal, but then life drastically changed. So because of the position that my dad had at his place of work, there's a lifestyle we had. So the fact that he's not there, meaning life really changed, But it was all good. I don't know how my mother was able to balance being, handling 3 children at the way we were young and still having her life, put together. She did a good job. So grew up, at that point went to boarding school because we were in private school, and then my mom could no longer afford. So we went to the school that Churchill loves to enjoy, Kadhonzweni. I was in Kadhonzweni.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, AIC. So did class 8, finished, then went to high school in Embu. Kieni girls. Yeah, and life was okay. I never felt like the absence of a father. Honestly, I never felt it. I actually never felt like I'm not privileged by the fact that I don't have a father, because my mom really covered us, which later on in life I realized was not necessarily a good thing. You see, so there's a way my mom really protected us from like the outside world. So when I'm in Form 2, my mom starts getting sick. So she was on and off hospital, on and on hospital. Walikuwa nasema it had something to do with her chest or something. So she was in and out of hospital. So all the way till Form 4. So this time, Form 4, I'm preparing to sit for my exams. And one time I call my mom and her phone is off. For the first time since she bought her mobile phone, her phone was off. And that day I was doing my German oral exams. I was doing German in high school. So I went, did my oral, and then I'm done. So I told my teacher, can I speak to my mom? So I called her phone was off. I went kashanga, why is her phone off? I called my sister. That time my elder sister was in first year campus. So I called her phone was off. I know there's something wrong. So all of a sudden, I'm seeing my class teacher really trying to protect me, like, don't go to class, nimeitwa staff room, all those things. So I'm called to the staff room and I'm told, you need to go home. And I'm like, why? Please note, we were doing our exams, our KCSE. And I'm like, why am I going home? And the principal just bluntly told me, your mother has died. And I was like, I was in so much shock, I didn't know how to react, So I went to class, packed my books, and I'm wondering, what am I packing, Ati niende nisome. So I packed my books.
So wait. Ukienda home, ushamaliza KCSE?
No. Tuko katikati
exams unaenda home?
Yes. Naenda home. So all the way from Embu to Mombasa, I was just thinking, my God, Mom, I'm just having this. And the person who came for me was my mom's best friend. So all along, I'm just thinking, Mom, but when I was closing, when we were opening school, you looked okay, So, and the last time I had seen her was during half term. So what drastically changed? So anyway, I forgot to say, before that, I said that she was in hospital. So I had gone to see her. She was in ICU. So I had gone to see her in ICU. She was in a coma. So I saw her, the way they shaved the head, then they put all those things on the head. It was just a bad scene to look at. So this time now I'm going home. She had already passed on. So I went home, and at that time, everyone expects you to be okay. Those days, there was nothing like sijui counseling, sijui someone talking to you about processing anything. So I'm there, I don't even understand what is happening. I'm thinking, what will happen to us, me and my siblings. So yeah, I went home on a Friday. The burial was on Saturday. And on Sunday, I was on my way back to Embu, to school. I didn't have time to process, or rather I didn't even know what processing is. So during her funeral, I mentioned I'm the second child, so my sisters were unable to speak. So I was the one who was asked to say something. I said what I said, finished the funeral. And then after the funeral, now evening came, we were home, the three of us, alone. Yeah, and we were like, okay, so what happens? No relative. In fact, my relatives didn't come for my mom's burial. You see those issues families have? Yes. So those family issues came all the way to her funeral. So we are done with the funeral and we are home. My siblings and I, and wondering, what do we do? My elder sister is in first year. I'm in Form 4, my younger sister Form 3. So luckily, the church that my mother was going to, she was a very committed church member, and the church had a children's home. So we were taken into the children's home. So you can imagine that transition, You've moved from a loving family. You have a mother who loves you, who cares for you. Now you're moving into a children's home. The transition was crazy. Anyway, I went back to school. So my sister had to call off, the one in first year. She had to call off just to settle us into the children's home. And also now she had to step into the shoes of like sort of a mother. So I went back to school, did my exam, and I remember telling the principal, so you just let me repeat because naandika nini. I would lie down on my desk doing my exams and just cry. Like, ashanga, what is there to live for, you know? So I finished my exam. Mi nilikuwa nimesema hata nikapata D ni sawa. Whatever I get, I really don't care. This, I kept saying like I'm living sort of like for my mom to make her proud. So now that she's not there, kuna kitu ingine imebaki. For me, there was nothing else. So I finished my high school, and then after that I now was living in the children's home. So as a second child, I think it's something with second children. I used to be a very curious child, or really out there. Mimi, huwezi niambia fanya na nifanya. I'll ask you why. Kwa nini nifanye? So now the transition into the children's home, I was the oldest, and the pastor that was housing us, they had not experienced like was it even a teenager, 18 teenager, I'm a youth, teen. So they had not experienced such an age. So even for them, it was a hard transition. So how I understand mimi niko aje na pia mimi si wa understand. Mimi nataka wani treat venye my mama alikuwa anani treat.
Okay, so okay. Wait. So mmetoka bado children's home iko Mombasa?
Bado tuko Mombasa.
So ile nyumba yenu Mombasa kwenye mlikuwa mnaishi vitu zimeenda?
Do you know I didn't know where those things went to?
So even your sister mwenye ako first year si ati amezichukua ama anaishi kwa hiyo nyumba?
Hapana.
So you and your clothes?
We just moved with our clothes. We left everything there.
To live now with this pastor who has a children's home. Ama si pastor?
She's a pastor.
Did you know this pastor when your mom was alive?
Yeah, it's the church we were going to.
Oh, so at least they're familiar faces?
Yes.
But no family?
No family. We didn't go. Actually, no family showed up. So it mentioned no family showed up.
How many kids were you like kwa your children's home? Around how many?
So the children's home had 11 kids, but they were all young. They were like between months and a year. All of them were that small. Below 1 year, actually.
And you after Form 4?
And I was 18. So you see, I'm the only older one, So there were a lot of teething issues of me getting into there because mi nimekuja tu venye niko. And then when you're 18, you want to discover things, you want to go out, and I can't be that. And my mom was the type of mom where she angekuachilia uwe fanya, but alikuwa anatuambia these are the consequences. So hata ukifanya zile vitu unafanya, just know these are the consequences. So I'm here now in a minister's house. Mi sikuwa nimezoea hiyo environment.
Yeah, pastor.
Yeah, pastor bana. It's very, unajua tu pastor bana. But I say at least I got that footing because I don't know how it would have been now. So while I'm there now, remember now my younger sister is in form 4. My elder sister now went back to KU, to campus. So now when I'm there, I decided, you know what, I don't want to be in Mombasa. This Mombasa life, it's just giving me bad vibes. My mom, it gives me memories of my mom. So I started to apply for campus in Nairobi. And then I had this thing, watu wakikuja Nairobi. There's this thing about Nairobi, so I really wanted to come to Nairobi. But now, the pastor I was with kept telling me, no, don't apply in Nairobi, just apply in Mombasa. And that is how I ended up doing the course I did in campus, because I looked for a course that is only offered in Nairobi. I didn't want to study in Mombasa. So before I went now to campus, you see now our days, there were 2 years period before you join campus.
Yeah. So
now in the 2-year period, here I am, and the expectations of people. You see, so the fact that you're living with someone, not just kama uko home kwenyu, your mama atakwambia hebu osha hizo vyombo, utaambia mam nitaosha baadaye. You see, now when you're in people's houses, it's very different. Like what I experienced, they were not treating me as, I just felt like an outsider. So I remember now one time I was taken to one of the people in church, one of the, would I call them an elder, or one of the people in church, to just live there a little bit. And I was given work to do, and the work was to kulima. Mimi all my life nishaishika panga, nishaishika jembe, hata najua zinashikangwa aje. So the owner of the home left instructions, you do this part of the shamba, and then the child do this part of the shamba. So that time Facebook ndio ilikuwa imeshika those days. So mimi nimeenda Facebook nimetype far away from civilization, as in I can't even forget what I posted that time. And this was in 2008. So I posted far away from civilization. So the daughter where I was staying showed the mother, showed the sisters, and saying that Leah is calling our place uncivilized. Sema kufukuzwa kwa wenyewe, nikafukuzwa.
So Leah, sister yako bado ako high school, yako boarding?
Ule mdogo, yes.
Ule mkubwa ako KU?
Ako KU.
So uko children's home peke yako? Wewe ndio umeenda kwa familia nyingine?
Yes. Mimi ndio sasa nakuwa moved around.
Wewe ndio unazunguka unapeana?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so nikafukuzwa. And I remember it was an evening I went to church because that's all I knew, church. So nikaenda church na 2 bags twangu, and I'm wondering naenda. You know, so people were making me believe that mimi ni mbaya. You know, venye I am outgoing and out there, venye niko, it's like I can't be contained. You get? And so it's just being someone who has finished high school, you're just discovering things. So nikaenda church, and I remember now I'm there, I'm calling my elder sister, and I'm telling her, Aki mimi, heri tu nikuje uko niishi na wewe. I am done. This iyo kukaa kwa watu, people are treating you how they want to treat you just because you don't have a voice, you know. So my sister, even her, she feels naweza kusaidia aje yake. You know, even her si ati yako sawa mali yako, even yako na struggles zake. So I remember I took my bag and I started walking. Our church is in town, Mombasa town. Those who know Mombasa, hapo NSSF building nyuma. So I'm walking, and I didn't even know where I was going. I'm walking. I walked till Nyali Bridge, Mombasa. And I stood there and I told myself, what's the worst that can happen if I just throw myself, you know? And I'm like, si watu wanakufanga na wanasaulika na life inasonga. I mean, already everyone is showing me how it's like, Mimi, I'm this person who's so difficult to deal with, all those things. See, then I just end it all. So I'm there, my sister, now that time she's calling me because I texted her and I told her, mi naenda kujirusha uko Nyali Bridge. So while I'm there, standing, overlooking the bridge, this, mi usema, it's like an angel or something. So this, like, sort of chokora came, and like, unajua sasa hapo watu wanapita, no one is even minding what you're doing or thinking. So chokora akakuja, akaniambia, unataka kufanya nini? Nikamwambia nataka kujirusha. Akaniambia why? Ona hata venye unakaa vizuri. Ebu ona, si mimi ndo hata nafaa kuwa najirusha. You know, and akaniambia imagine you have so much to live for. Tukaenda na yeye. So hapo Nyali Bridge chini kuna hiyo base ya machokora. So tukaenda na yeye hapo. And do you know the way this chokora spoke to me that day? Nikajiambia yenyewe, it's true. I have so much, you know, to live for. So evening came, of course, singelala hapo. So I called my sister. At this time, remember, my sister has really been looking for me na hajui kama what happened to me. So she reached out to our youth pastor of the church that I was going to, and then the youth pastor reached out to me. So I went back to church, and akaniongelesha. But in my mind, I'm like, sawa, and then, you know, at the end of the day, my mom is not here. So whatever you're telling me, hainisaidi. So I called a friend, tulikuwa naye high school, but we were childhood friends. So I called her na nikaenda kwao. Na nikakaa huko for long. Now until later on, now the pastor came and told me just to go back.
So say results zilitoka?
Results zikatoka.
Zilitoka ukiwa kwa hiyo rafiki yako, kama zimetoka all this time ukiwa church zishatoka?
All this time, all these things happen zilikuwa zishatoka. So I got a B plane.
Oh wow.
But I was an A student, let me mention that. But I did well.
Yeah, you
considering
did well.
the circumstance I was in. So I got a B plane of 60, was it 3 or 2? Yeah.
So kidogo ingeta job.
Kidogo, even that was another thing that really pained me. And I'm like, any God, I think 64. I think 64 was the cutoff point. Yeah. Anyway, so when the results came out, I thought that people would really celebrate nime pass. And I remember someone mentioning and asking me, sasa hiyo makumepata, nani atakusomesha university na parallel? Nani ako na hiyo pesa kukusomesha university? And in my heart that day, I told myself, I will go to university and I will study to prove everyone wrong. Na hakuna mtu atanilipia school fees. Like, it became such a desire for me. And mimi, the person that I am, I'm very... mi nikisema kitu nitafanya. So I'm very goal oriented. As long as I've focused on something and I've put it in my mind, I will do it. So yeah, so I went back to the children's home. At this point now is when now we were looking for schools, campuses, and the pastor was advising I study in Mombasa. But I didn't want to. So I looked for a course that was only offered in Nairobi. And then I also wanted to go to KU where my sister was, at least to feel, at least niko na mtu, you know. So that time, KU was the only university offering economics and statistics as a degree. So that is what I applied for, parallel. And I was called, and for the first semester, the church did a fundraising.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
they did a fundraising. They raised the first, which I'm very grateful for. Then they raised the money and nikaingia Kenyatta University, first time in Nairobi. That was in 2010.
So now you live with your sister, what you wanted?
Yes, now I'm with my sister at least. You know, now, at least, sistangu ni mkali by the way, lakini at least tuko na yeye. Yeah, so I joined KU first year, and I knew I didn't have anyone to pay my school fees. As SEM, we were doing like 70,000 school fees. So I knew kuna second term, kuna second SEM. A year had 2 semesters, so tuko na second SEM, and lazima nitafute school fees. So my sister also, I mean, by the virtue of the way we are, kila mtu alilearn kukua very kujitafutia. You know, even my sister now was doing her own thing. Yeye alikuwa anauza, she would make mabuyu and njugu, anaenda anaziuza tuck shop. Mimi nikamwambia mimi yake kuuza vitu class. No. Niko na venye watu class wameniona, so siwezi show up hivyo, but I can do other things. So one time nikiwa tu first year first sem, I'm having a conversation with a friend of mine. Akaniambia, by the way, do you know ati kuna this ministers of education nini? Nikamwambia ati anaitwa nani? Akaniambia, I wrote it down. Nikaenda Google, ofisi yake iko wapi? The next morning I was there
in the office.
Yes, alikuwa anaitwa Kilemi Mweria. And I showed up in his office the following day. So the PA is asking me, do you have an appointment? Nikasema yes. So luckily he was there. Luckily. Yani, I think it was just God. I was not asked many questions. What? I was just shown in, nikaingia. So the minute I saw him, nikamwambia mimi atastaki vitu mingi, nataka tu school fees. So he asked me, which university are you from? Nikamwambia KU. Took his phone, called the VC, Mugenda. So akamwambia, I'm here with your student, and anasema hana school fees. Kwani you guys don't give bursaries or whatever? Nikachambia kai. So sizidi mashida gari, si angeniuliza tu mimi, like, why is he calling the VC? So the VC akamwambia, let her come to my office the following day. I was so tensed because I'm like, ama nimechoma, you know, ama nimeanika shule, you know. But again nikasema what's the worst that can happen? Haizi nifukuza aniambie atitoka KU, you know. So I went and met Professor Olive Mugenda, and you've been to Campo. Do you even know your visa? Hata mnakuanga na one-on-one at any point, you know.
Your office yofikangi.
Hata uonangi, you know, unamwonanga tu time ya graduation. So I went to her office and I sat down with her. And nikamwambia mashida zangu, akaniambia okay. So KU will be giving you 30,000.
Wow.
That was a big deal, let me tell you. It was huge. So KU was giving me 30,000 in terms like as a bursary, those bursaries that universities have. And I was like, at least, you know, niko out of 70, niko na 30.
True.
You know? By the I was so grateful. Mimi, when I was going there, I didn't have any expectation. So the fact that it came, na sikuwa na expectation, it was a good thing. So then I remembered, nikiwa high school, I told you I'm very like outgoing and mi nitajituma. So when I was in high school, we had, when we were doing our graduation in high school, one of the guests was Celes Mbarire. I think you know her. She was former assistant Miss. Tourism something minister, I think. So I had her number. I got it that time. So I called her. Nikaji explain, oh yeah, I remember you, come to my office. So I went to her office. Alikuwa patao. So I went there and nikamwambia, me I need school fees. Akanambia, since I'm not from her constituency, what she can do, she can help me apply for HELB. I'd never even heard of HELB, that was the first time. So through her PA, akaniorganizia nikapata HELB ya 60,000.
Wait.
Yes.
30,000 ya KU ni per sem ama ni per month?
Per sem. So
out of the 70,000
yes.
per sem. Now you have another 60.
Yes.
So now you have like 20k extra?
No, so it means in one semester, HELB was covering, you see, HELB is giving me 60 for one semester. So in your semester ya HELB natafuta like 10k. KU semester yake ilikuwa inanipea 30. So unaona kwa semester ya KU niko na like 40 ya kutafuta. Which to me that was a miracle. The fact that I had a full sem, I'm just looking for 10,000.
Kwani HELB niya? The entire university kwani ijakupea 60?
So HELB inakupea per sem. Not per sem, per year, sorry.
Oh, per year.
Per year. But now your per year ilikuwa inakuja the second semester, because first semester ilikuwa September. So HELB ilikuwa inaingia semester ya January. Ivo. So walikuwa na count like the whole year, but sasa unaona inaingia the first sem. So for me ilikuwa inakatwa like the first year semester hiyo yote. Because unaona sasa fees yangu ilikuwa 70.
So una have kutafuta 10.
So nilikuwa natafuta 10, which 10 ilikuwa pesa kidogo sana considering hiyo yote yenye nishalipiwa. Yeah, so that is how I kicked off my university.
So that's first year.
This is first year.
They did the same all the way?
Yes. HELB I was getting every year.
Hata hii ingine ya KU?
Hata hii ya KU.
Until you cleared campus?
Yes, until I cleared campus.
For how many years?
4.
For 4 years, shule ili support, church ili support too, once?
Yes.
And then the rest ni KU
and
na
then
HELB.
the rest KU, HELB na pia. Now unaona KU inanipea 30, so I had this 40 to look for. So now the rest was vitu nilikuwa nafanya.
So you can't hustle.
So nikaanza hustle.
You're still living with your sister?
I'm still living with my sister. Tulikuwa tunaishi KM, place inaitwa KM inside KU. So now in second year nikaanza sasa kuchanuka. I'm like, watu wanafanyanga to jobs Nairobi. You know, things someone akani connect. Oh, nikiwa first year, yenyewe nakuanga na mambo. Nilifanya Miss KU. Hata sikutoka top. Hata sikuata top anything, let me tell you. I think cause pia nilikuwa first year. Hata sikuwa
Hako anasema kale ka Mombasa tukapatie kale ka Mombasa.
Wapi? Hata top.
Were you going back after hizi semesters zikifungwa? Are you going back to the children's home in Mombasa?
I went once.
First time peke yake?
Your first year now when we closed. That is the only time I went.
And that's it.
Yes, because now unajua tuko tunafunga long holiday.
Yes.
Hiyo long holiday, it's my time to look for money.
Oh yeah.
Remember, I'm with my sister. Na lazima kuna expenses, lazima mkule, lazima mvae.
And there's a small one.
And there's my younger one. Now, this younger one, of course, her school fees, the small monies that we got from my mom, marupurupu, were paying her school fees.
Okay.
But now there's like pocket money. There's, when she has visiting, either me or my elder sister had to show up.
Okay.
So in one way or another, we were also trying to support her when she was still in high school. So
now you're done with campus, umegraduate ama bado uko na school fees balance?
Hata nikiwa campus, you see, I was still doing these two jobs. And for me, haikuwa about the shame, because I knew this is what I needed to do. You know, I didn't care. Mimi nilikuwa najiambia Nairobi nani ananijua? Hakuna. So I'll do what I have to do. Nimesimama supermarket kuuza sijui to products kwa street, kupeana flyers au na watu unaonanga kwa street wakipeana. I have done that. I have done endless activations. And when I was in third year, nilipata ka breakthrough kadogo na when I joined Tahidi High. At least.
Oh, you joined Tahidi High?
Yes.
While you were still in campus?
Yes, while I was still in campus.
So ikakusaidia shule?
Iyo nayo now, the producer, thank you. Like, ilini boost sana. And then also, I met a friend, tukiwa hapo Tahidi, na alikuwa anaenda kuambia script writers. Me I didn't know, because first of all, I was so bad at acting. Bad. Any bad. Unajua bad. But now, this friend of mine would go tell the producers, not the script writers, without even me knowing, anawaambia, there's this friend of mine, aki anangangana na school. So muandikie ka script aki. Na umweke ka main, ache kuwa extra. Mweke main. Naandikiwa script. Naletewa. By the way, I knew she was doing that way later. Because nilikuwa nashanga, si ati I am good. In fact, I would watch myself najambia guy. Najishtuka guy, as in, watu kwa nini wanaona, you know? But I would just keep at it. Mi najua it's money for my school fees I'm looking for. So I think, as in, nilikuwa na ile attitude ya, kaende. Yeah. As in, I'll do what I have to do. So that time, and I usually say, I'm really grateful for Abel Mutua, because he really wrote me scripts.
Yeah, no, work na Abel.
Imagine. That guy. Every time I mention him, nikikumbuka how alikuwa ananiandikia script very intentionally, hata kama anajua hakuna kitu ya maana nitaenda kufanya, he will just, na sio amenipea main.
Okay.
Imagine. So he would now my friend would go talk to Abel ananiandikia script, napewa script. Sasa hiyo hata nikisema hiyo script nakaa tu nimecram, haitoki, you know.
But unapata school fees. So nikamaliza,
nikagraduate.
Ukapata job?
So after nimegraduate, nilipata job. And nikafanya hiyo job. I kept feeling kuna kitu ina miss. Yes, nafanya job, but kuna ka fulfillment sikuwa napata in the job. And then now, after that, I worked for a year, then I got married.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
So somehow your life now is beginning to take shape.
Yes.
You're beginning to feel, sasa kuna ile feel like you're worthless.
Exactly.
Now you're feeling some sense of belonging. So una feel like I'm still making my mom proud even though she's not here.
Yes.
Because uko kwa TV, umegraduate.
Yes. In fact, my graduation, I was so proud of myself. I was,
Did the family come? Ama who came? Was there a party?
No.
Also, who came for the graduation?
No one.
Even just your sister and you?
Actually, my sister now later on, she got an opportunity. She traveled out of the country.
Before you graduated?
Yes.
So mbaki mkiwa wawili?
Na ule mwingine ako Mombasa.
Children's home? Ama kwa family ilimchukua? Ama
no, alikaa kwa hiyo children's home until now. She stayed in the children's home.
So now you're in Nairobi alone?
Yes, I was in Nairobi alone.
na mwenye ameenda majuu anakusaidia anyway?
Yes, she really, she actually, now when I joined Tahiti's the same time, she also went abroad. So at least now my life became easier because nilikuwa nikishindwa kuraise 40,000, she would pay. Ama she would at least support by some margin. So at least life became, like life ilianza kuwa poa, you know. I got some stability.
Now you're married.
Now I got married. I got
wedding.
Where? Ikakuwa huko YouTube, a very big wedding.
Wow, ikakuwa wapi?
YouTube.
Where?
Yes. Ilikuwa kama wedding, ilikuwa kama zinaitangwa nini hizi
wedding show. Ilikuwa kwa wedding show.
Hapana, tena na wedding show. Ilikuwa kama hizi watu politicians wanaitananga zinaitwa aje?
Rallies.
Yes.
Why? Family or who now? Okay, from your side?
Not from my side, from his side.
Oh, so now your spouse is from a very united family.
Yes, his family now is. And me, actually, when it was hizo times za rurashio nini, I didn't know how to go about it because side ya my mom na side ya my dad hawezi patana. Kwa meza moja. So actually, during the wedding, kulikuwa na side ya my mom huko, side ya my dad huko, like kila mtu alikuwa side yake. It was just interesting. Yeah, so we did the wedding, got married, and...
But now these people are coming for your wedding, that they didn't come for their burial.
Yes.
They didn't come for... So your mom's people are kwa harusi?
Yes, even my dad's people.
Okay.
Like niliambiwa ni mila. So
lazima wakuje.
Mila lazima ihape.
Na mahari wakapewa?
Nitasema walipewa kweli. Wacha nisiseme walipewa.
Okay.
But we went and saw the parents.
Okay.
Yeah. So now I got married, got the first child. And this time I'm not, when I got married, I was not working. Yes, I was not working.
Not on Tidy High? No,
I was not working, nothing. Nilikuwa nakaa tu home. And then I stayed home for a year, raising also the child. So when my baby got to 1 year, now I looked for a job. Now I went back to work. And then I got my second child. So my children wameachana na 1 year, 9 months.
Oh.
They're basically twins.
Twins.
Yes. Yeah, so now I'm in this thing of motherhood and raising these sort of like twins. Hata kama watu wanasemanga mfuatanishe watoto. Vitu kwa ground ni different. It's now that when they are grown, ina make sense. But wakiwa wadogo, ongeza house girls. For me, it was work.
Your spouse wasn't coming in through like anakuhelp ama?
Now, his job involves a lot of traveling.
Oh no.
Yes. So he would be around. When he's around, he's very handy, he's helping, all these things. But he would travel a lot.
Even when they were very young?
In fact, when I was giving birth to the first child, tulitoka Hosi, akaka home like 2 weeks, akatravel. He was away for like another 3 weeks, or was it a month? Yes. So he had those many, his job, the kind of job he works, he used to travel a lot. Yeah, so I'm here raising these children, trying to figure out life. And then at some point I started a business. So now I was employed, starting to figure out business. And I have 2 children that I'm trying to figure out.
Under 2.
So it was just a lot, you know, it was just a lot for me. But maisha inasonga, you know, life is moving on. So we continued like that, living life. And then now, I think for me, around 2020, when COVID, I think COVID ilikuja tu na maneno mtu mingi. So around COVID, I started feeling it's like I'm not okay. And I could not tell why I was not okay.
Your business was okay?
The business was doing very well.
The family?
The family is okay.
The kids?
The children are okay. But I started feeling I am not okay. There's just something that is not okay with me. Yeah, so, and then all of a sudden, nikaanza kukua very, very emotional, extremely emotional. And I would cry over, I'm a very strong person, so I would cry over very small things. And then something small, I would really magnify it. But sikuwa na get what is really happening to my life. So 2021, nika decide, you know what, let me go for therapy. Niweze kuelewa. Because imagine, ningekuwa na drive, and I stopped the car and I started crying. And I started feeling this overwhelming emotion of missing my mom. It was too much, you know. And that time when I asked my sister, she's telling, my elder sister, she's telling me, she's feeling that she's now mourning my mom at that time. This is over 10 years later. So I told her, I think even for me, I could be going through the same thing. I just don't understand it. So we would argue kitu kidogo tu with my husband. Na Leah, you know, emotions zina rise. Naanza kusema I miss my mom. If my mom was here, you know, things like those. If my mom was here, this wouldn't have happened. This, like that. So I went for therapy. And tukaanza tu kuongea na therapist. Si kwa ubaya, ilifika mahali nikaona nisaidi. Or rather, I was not in the space to receive whatever the therapist was trying to tell me. Nikaachana nayo, nikajambia hii pesa hapana, naweza iweka mahali kwingine. So I started feeling lost. And unless someone has been on that space, it's a very hard space to explain to anyone. But I started feeling things are not making sense. My life is not making sense. I'm feeling like I'm stuck. I am so confused. And if you ask me what is confusing me, sijui, but na feel siko sawa. You see. So life ikaendelea. So around towards the end of 2021, I walked out of my marriage. Yes. And let me tell you, I think that was the most lowest time of my life. So here I was, I'm confused. I don't even know what has led into my decision of leaving. I don't know myself. I don't know what I want. I feel I am stuck. As in, I have so many emotions that nikielezea mtu, ananiambia hii, hapo hakuna kitu. So you snap out of it. Just snap out. And I'm like, how? As in, I don't know myself. I feel like as a mother, nimechanganyikiwa. As a wife, nimechanganyikiwa. In my business, as in everything just came down. Remember, I'm not talking to any relative. I don't have any relative to talk to. In Nairobi, it's just me. So now I'm dealing with all these emotions by myself.
So even after walking out umeenda, like hata si ati kwa ule sister yako mdogo. So you just go to a friend ama you go start a new life because you don't have a family.
So nilienda tu na nikaanza life. So you see, that's my introvert. So I didn't know how to talk to people. I didn't know how to say niko na shida, which I'll talk about it later, but looking back comes from, you see, now after my mom died, I didn't know how to express my emotions of what I was feeling. So I did not know that showed up later in life. You see, so I didn't know how, ningekaa chini nikwambie, by the way, niko na A, B, C, D. So me, I would feel overwhelmed and shut. So now, when the emotions came, they really came.
Yeah.
So here I was in now 2022, figuring out life, living, like by the I would say 2022 for me is a year that didn't count, because I was literally on survival mode. I was a zombie. I can't tell you how I went through 2022. I just can't. I was just surviving. And I was deep into depression. I had panic attacks, I had anxiety attacks. And I remember I had heard of anxiety, people getting anxiety. But I used to think, sijui anxiety ni nini. I used to think it's something that is so far-fetched, you know, iko na watu, a certain type of people. Or ni watu certain type wanakuanga depressed. Hey, I didn't even know I was going through depression until now. I saw another therapist now when I was trying to find myself. And I was explaining to her, I'm feeling chest pains, I'm feeling, nikiingia town. Do you know nilikuwa na panic attack nikiingia town? As in town CBD, and that is where my job is. So ningefika tao, naanza kubreathe hivyo. I feel I am running out of breath. Imagine. So when I sat with this therapist and I'm explaining to her, and she's like, yeah, hiyo ndio inaitwa panic attack. And I'm like, what? Ananiambia venye una feel ni anxiety. So nilikuwa na feel upper chest, ni kama mtu ameniekelea simiti ya 5 kgs, So I didn't know that what I was experiencing was inaitwa panic attacks, anxiety. So this therapist, at least she now broke it down to me, this emotion inaitwa hivi, and I'm like, okay. So I had trouble sleeping. So the therapist subscribed sleeping medication. Nikamwambia hata kama niko hivi sidhani nimefika dawa, nitangangana nitalala. I will just figure it out. So fortunately or unfortunately, my therapist flew out of the country. Sasa nimeachwa hivyo, nikaanza kujiuliza. Remember I said I don't open up easily. So I'm like, sasa nitaikaa chini tena na mtu mwingine tuanze tena. Nikasema hapana. So 2023, I decided, you know what? I'm going to figure this thing out. And I am tired of that feeling. I need to understand where I am. I need to understand what is this thing that I'm feeling. Ni nini hii ilinifanya nikakuwa depressed? I want to understand, because ni nini kubwa, that an emotion that overtook me to a place where I got depressed. And there was a time I had serious intrusive thoughts. And intrusive thoughts ni hizo, unasikia masauti kwa kichwa. By the way, najiambia, the people in the street unaonanga wakijiongelesha, they start from a place. Because I used to have voices talking to me in my head. And I didn't know how to stop them talking. And I came to a place where I understood people who get to a point of committing suicide, because those thoughts really convince you. You hear a voice inakwambia jiue, jirushe, as in it's so loud. Imagine you can't contain it, So at this point I used to have those voices. And like one time, let me just mention one incident. I was driving on Kiambu Road. So nateremka hivi venye Kiambu Road iko. So I was driving down and there was lorry ya cement inapanda. That voice kept telling me swerve, swerve, swerve. And the more I got nearer the car, the louder the voice got. Like swerve, swerve, Evo, swerve, 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 Evo. And I remember nilishika steering, scream cause it was too much. And nikafika mbele, stop, nikajambia, imagine I can't. Imagine siwezi ishi hivi. I need to find a solution. As a person, I research a lot. I like reading, and also I said, lazima kukuwe na solution. Watu wenye wanajua hizi vitu, pia walisoma na wakaget knowledge.
Exactly.
So mahali walizitoa, even me, I will do it for myself. So now 2023, now last year when it began, that was my goal. To understand these things, to understand where do they come from, to understand the root of all these things. And so I started the journey. My journey now of transforming my own life. Because I was just tired of where I was. I just felt stuck. I felt frustrated. I felt nothing is no longer making sense in my life. So slowly I started reading some books. I started, researching on these emotions I was feeling. And then I started to realize they came from a place. So, for example, I had a fear of abandonment. Let me just say it the way it is, fear of abandonment. So I wanted to understand, why is it that even in the friendships that I had, I used to cling on to people. Utakuwa beshte yangu Celes, nitakukwamilia kama glue. Like, I used to attach myself to people very unhealthily, if there's a word like that. It was not unhealthy.
It was not healthy.
Sorry, it was not healthy. So that means everything around you nafanya, naji overgive. Unaona? And that is where even the thing of people pleasing come from. So this thing of fear of abandonment came from me losing my mom. So every person that was coming in my life, I wanted to attach to them the way I would attach to my mom. So basically, I was just looking for my mom.
Yeah.
In people. Sometimes, even in your workplaces, you're there saying, my boss is this way. Every time I get a job, I get fired. But what we do, we are just seeing the outcome. What is the foundation of that? Unafutwa. It stems from a very deep place. So unless in you already have a subtle belief about yourself, it will just reflect. So you attract who you are as a person. So if in you believe wewe ukipata tu job utafutwa, that is what you will attract, and you will attract people who mirror the beliefs that you have about yourself. In fact, I keep saying the best teacher is our environment, is the people we interact with, because these people are our teachers. Kama wewe unashinda umeattract watu waongo, watu, let's say people with funny behaviors, when you look deep within yourself, there is a subtle behavior. It may be subconscious. Like personally, I didn't know I had this fear of abandonment. I did not know until I started noticing the patterns, you see. And when I started now, this now translates into my life coaching, because in life coaching, what we do, we just go deep into your life. So if you tell us, or if you tell me, for example, you're depressed, I'd like to know what instant in your life brought the outcome, because depression was the outcome. So what is it that happened? Then we go to the foundation of it and try to understand, because sometimes the mind exaggerates a situation. Kakitu kadogo kame happen, but your mind ina exaggerate, inakupea feelings. So when I was trying like to understand where my anxiety and panic attack was coming from, and I realized it's the mind telling me, wewe unajua watu wangapi wanakuongea wewe. So nikienda tao, I'm imagining kila mtu anajua huyu ametoka marriage. You get?
Okay, yeah.
So the mind amplifies it such that now it translates into your body becoming sick.
So by 2023, by the time you're learning this, by the time you're doing all this, have you gone back to your marriage?
Not yet.
So you're learning it when you're still trying to find yourself and why
Yes.
you're doing all these things.
Yes. In fact, I did it. I decided to work on myself for me.
Not for your marriage.
Not for anything. In fact, at that point, I was at the stage of saying, Mimi siwezi rudi. Mimi. I was at that place. But now, when I started realizing the patterns, even the pattern in my own family, you know, and people call it generational curses or things like that, but I call them generational trauma, because you see, I was raised by a single mother.
Yeah.
What the mind does, the mind works with what is familiar. You see, so me being raised by a single mom, the fact it's okay, my dad died, but the fact that I was raised by a single mother, my mind automatically forms the habit, and it wants to translate it to become what it's familiar to it. So the mind just continues a pattern. So it knows, uyu lazima pia kwe single mother.
But you can stop that
But
from
you can stop
You
that.
can choose to stop
Yes.
that from
Now
happening.
that is where awareness comes in. Healing is not about sasa nimefika mahali niko sawa. Hapana. Healing is when that issue comes up, are you aware about it? Like myself, if you become my friend and I start noticing hapa ni kama nimeanza kuja sana, najambia hapana, let me step back. This thing is trying to show up again. Let me step back. So that is what healing is. The awareness you bring into a situation. So kama like now when I brought awareness into, I was raised by a single mother. This pattern is truly repeating itself. And when you look at it critically, it's not out of something major, I would say major, that happened. It's just that it got to a place I felt that kuna tu vitu zilikuwa zinanihinda na sikuwa naelewa ni nini. So the mind wanted to repeat something that is already familiar to itself. It's the same way kama, let's say kwenyu mko na shida ya diabetes, for example. So if you grew up, you saw your parents maybe wakingangana na diabetes. So your mind, hiyo ndo pattern inajua, the subconscious mind that is, hiyo ndo pattern inajua. So inajua kwetu kuna diabetes, so it has to replay the same. So until you bring awareness to that, you break it and decide, you know what, I'm going to create a new pattern and give your mind a new pattern to work with. Yeah.
I love that. I love that because it sounds like you are here with our previous guest last week was telling us about those events, a certain event. There you're saying losing your mom, losing your dad made you, right now, 10 years, 13 years later, 14 years later.
Yeah.
So you're doing something because of an event that you went through and you didn't know
I didn't
unconsciously,
know about it.
but your
Subconsciously.
not unconsciously, subconsciously.
Yes.
How Jewy, but right now when you sit down, uko like maybe this is why I am doing this.
ABCD. Actually, you see, because I was raised by a single mother, I'm automatically independent, hyper independent, because I saw my mom doing this, akifanya too, and making things happen. So even me, I'm behaving like a widow in a marriage, doing things, because that is what my mind knows. My mind doesn't know any other thing.
So after going through this, after learning about all this, did you later go back, now that you're healing, because now you're saying healing is awareness.
Yes.
I'm doing this because of this. So I can choose not to do it.
Yes.
So hapo ndo, because you feel I'm doing it, unaweza amua by this, mi sitakuwa hivyo.
Yes.
Mi sitafollow your pattern. I'm going to break it.
Yes.
Because now I'm aware.
Yes.
So did you go back to your marriage ama uliamua tu?
Yes, I did go back.
Oh, nice.
I did go back, and it's been amazing because now there is the awareness. There is now, I'm coming now from a place of knowing, you know, and that's the beauty about awareness. You know where you may fall short, and even all these things showed up, even how I attached myself to my husband, and all these things, because of me losing this part, how it showed up also in my marriages. I became very like insecure in the sense that naona like nataka tu akue na mimi, like staki aende, you know, I just want iyo tukue tu pamoja ivo. But you see, it was what do they call it, is it insecure or insecure attachment style, which is not the best even for any kind of relationship. Unachoka, itafika mali uchoke. And so when I went back, I started to realize in that setting I kept feeling, oh, sipendwi, mbona mtu anipendi, but I realized it's not about him. Mimi sikuwa najipenda. I didn't even know how to love myself. So if I don't love myself, what do? I attract not being loved. But now when I come as I'm full, I love myself, I attract the same thing. I attract being loved. I attract even in friendships, even at work. It stems down to everything that happens around us. If it all begins and ends with ourselves. And so even in coaching, that is what I tell people. So as I marry into what I'm doing, in my coaching, I say I use 4 aspects in coaching people. So I use introspection, iyo kujiangalia wewe mwenyewe. Ni nini, so ni nini uko nayo ama ni nini hauna in you that is reflecting on the outside world. So I use I said introspection, mindfulness, being very present in what you're doing every single day, intentionally being present. If I'm with you, I am here. I am not mara niko hapa sijui akili iko wapi. I am present. I'm practicing to be present. And then self-awareness. So self-awareness is basically, now I know as Leah, what do I like? What makes me happy? You know, what am I good at? So it is through self-awareness that I realized all through my life, I've been good at speaking to people, you know, but because of other things, it has been suppressed. But that is what gives me joy. That's what gives me fulfillment. If you come to me and I talk to you and I feel umekuwa encouraged, I feel so fulfilled. So then I decided now this is something I'm going to pursue because it's something I am good at. I do without struggling. You can call me at 10 p.m. and I'll talk. I'll give a whole speech. You know, when growing up, since class 4 to high school, I've been a prefect all through, you know. So leadership comes so easily to me. So that is self-awareness. What are you good at? Kuna watu ukiwauliza, what are you good at? Ataanza kukumauma mdomo, hajui. because you've not taken time to understand who are you as a person. So I use introspection, mindfulness, self-awareness, and paradigm shift. Now, paradigm shift is the most, hiyo sasa ndio kila kitu. So paradigms are just belief systems that we have grown up with. And those are the hardest to change. Zile beliefs tumegrow up nazo. Zile beliefs za society. Beliefs kama wewe mmeachana unarudi nini, utarudi ukufe. You know those beliefs that society has embedded in our minds, beliefs that we have grown up with. Amazing vitu ni za certain class of people. Those belief system, they really mirror to what we do, how we react, how we show up in life. Now I had to change all those things. So that is where transformation comes in. All that has to change for you to transform.
Yeah.
You can't say you want to transform but want to continue holding the same belief system. You can't say I want to transform and you don't even know who yourself, you are.
Yeah.
You don't even know anything about Celes. It can't happen. You can't say you want to transform and you're not mindful of what you're doing, of your health, of anything that is happening around you. So transformation comes from a deep place of getting to a place where you say, you know what, I am tired. Then that is the first place. Ni kama kwenda nitangwa nini kitu, kwenda
hosi unaingia
rehab,
triad.
You know,
hata hosi unaingia triad.
Yes.
Unaanza na
yes,
pressure.
Exactly. So people want to transform without the process.
Okay.
But there has to be a process, and I tell people in coaching that for me it took 2 years. You don't have to take 2 years. As long as the willingness is there, the intentionality is there, you can truly transform. And I'm glad it's the beginning of the year, where as people are doing resolutions, you are doing your goals for the year, you are doing all these things for your new year. You can decide that, you know what, I am done. I am done. I am a very bitter person. You know, my work is just playing victim. Kazi yangu ni tu ule alinifanyia ndo maana niko hivi. Nilikosewa na ule ndo maana niko hivi. Blaming people. But I think as a new year, you need to shift the focus back to yourself and decide, me as a person, by the way, I need to get out of this bondage. Yeah.
Wow. I love that. That's a very good resolution.
Yes.
Shift the focus back to yourself.
Yeah.
And this is really tying to the last episode. Like, it's something, now it's about me. Isikue kila sani ule amenifanyia,
yes,
bosi wangu nifanyia, sijui huyu mama hapa kwa ploti ananisumbuanga.
Yes.
You as a self, like you as yourself, ebu jiangalie shida yako iko wapi? Why are you attracting such people? Exactly. Why are they doing that to you? Like, let's be mindful.
Yes.
And I love what you're doing, what you're saying, a transform life coach. You transform lives.
Yes, I do.
And the hardest part ni hiyo ya 4. Because kama hiyo umesema, we are like, okay, najua nilikosea bwana yangu, najua nilikosea mdosi wangu. I know my problem. Nimejianalyze, nikaona kashida kangu, but sitaki kukubali.
Yes.
Sitaki kukubali. I don't want to accept my problem.
Yes.
So I don't want to go back to that husband and say, aki mimi ndo nilikuwa bibi mbaya, ama kwa mdosi aki I was the bad employee. So hapo ndo tunakatalia sana.
Yes.
We will be mindful. I think like we're okay, we want to be present. We are going to be very intentional for those who are ready to be. We are going to be self-aware. I know my type of person. I know I can move from this. Like me, I know I can push myself. Lakini kuna mahali tu inafikanga inakata. So yeah, so that's a really nice start for the year, for someone who is ready to transform their lives. If you're ready to if you're not happy with the person you were last year, if you feel like some things I'm going through, as much as there's that trauma, there's that event
that happens,
like you're saying, as much as you know these things repeat, umezikata.
Yes.
I refuse to have my kids grow apart. Juu niliamua tu iendelee. You can choose that kind of life that you want.
Yes.
So Leah, this is such a nice, like your journey shows some of us, those who have such a journey, when you are to relate to, I also lost my mom, maybe that's why I'm doing this. If that person wants to change their lives from this like this episode, imagine anaweza.
Yeah.
But if you don't, imagine huyo mtu atakienda therapy.
I imagine haita work. Haita work. You will continue feeling if you're stuck, and the more the years go by, the worse it becomes. It becomes worse. It doesn't get better. So it's just someone needs to decide, I'm just done. And you see, there's something you've said and I liked it. The hardest part is where we could accept. And it's hard for me even to get to that place and sitting my husband down and saying, by the way, do you know, I realized A, B, C, D about myself. And this A, B, C, D made me show up X, Y, Z in the relationship. And I see my fault. It is never one-sided. I see my fault, and for that I am truly sorry. Because, and there's no shame, you know, and it's so freeing. Ukifika that level, you start living a very free life, because you realize it's me. I'm in control of everything. I'm in control of my life. And by the fact that nimekuja ku apologize, it means I'm taking my control back. Nimekuja nimekuambia, so I'm controlling everything in my life. I'm controlling how I apologize. I'm taking back the control. So it's a very powerful thing. People think it's you're giving away your power. No, it's actually taking back your power. Yes.
You're the bigger person. You're actually the bigger person.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. Najua hata siamini, by the way. Rarely will you find someone tell you that. Rarely. Mtu anakuangazia za nilikosea lakini mimi siwezi.
Yeah. Ama unakaa unasema, oh, unajua alinifanyia.
You're trying to justify.
Alafu unajua mimi nikafanya hivyo because yeye alinifanyia. No. You need to ask yourself, mbona ulifanyiwa hizo vitu? Unaona, why am I attracting kufanyiwa hizo vitu? Kwa nini mimi? Mbona the same person akiwa job hafanyangi colleagues wake hivyo? Mbona ni wewe anafanyia? So you need to sit down and ask yourself, is it that you have low self-esteem? Is it that you doubt yourself? Is it that you don't love yourself? And unfortunately, like in a relationship setting, it shows up through your partner. Unfortunately, in a friendship setting, you attract certain types of friends. Wenye, wewe tu ndo unagive, wewe hakuna siku utawahi receive. Then unashinda unasema, oh, sijui my friends are bad, oh, sijui my friends don't care. But it's you who you've not understood. Why do I give myself this much? What kind of validation am I looking for through these friends? You know, actually, when I realized that, I stopped. I used to have where my evenings, sijui nimeenda kuona nani, sijui nimeenda kusaidia nani. I used to be that kind of a person, but I realized it's like there's something I'm seeking out of these friendships. So when I now understood myself, there was no need of all that. I will attract the right people. I will attract healthy friendships. I will attract healthy relationships because I am healthy within myself. Yes.
You're even okay being alone, just reading a book.
You're fine. Okay. You're okay because that is who you are as a person. And you're not forcing yourself to be someone that you're not, you know? Yeah.
What else can I add? Leah amesema kila kitu, guys. Leah has said everything. I mean, nilikuwa nikisema, mimi nikiongea sana wanaweza fikiria leo natuambianga. Now this is, let's say, a stranger. Because now, Leah ali reach out na amekam. This is from Leah's mouth, not Cele. This is just Leah's mouth on Celes reflection. So thank you so much, Leah. I'm sure kama kuna mse pale nje alikuwa anangoja just one more person and convince. Just one more convincing for me to go and apologize to my boss, parents, either. Ama for me to accept and change myself. That person has been convinced today.
Yes.
And also, if they want to seek your services, they can reach you.
Yes. So my page is called Authentically You Global on Instagram. You can reach out. I do one-on-one coaching. Yeah, so reach out. Let's walk this transformation journey together. Like I said, you don't have to take 2 years. Imagine. You can shorten the span and transform your life. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Leah.
Thank you for having me. Yes.
Hey,
I've enjoyed.
I've also enjoyed. Thank you so much, even for sharing your journey from class 5.
4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It has been like an hour, But almost how many years? Almost 15 years.
Yes, imagine.
Wow. Thank you so much, Leah.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing our story with us. And for you who has a story, a beautiful one like Leah's, yenye tuna learn kitu, tuna impact one another, tuna encourage one another. This is my email. Reach out to vcelestindinda@gmail.com. Kuja tuambie tu story yako, ita encourage one person, itatupatia hope, tuta learn. Like now we've learned so many things from you, Leah. So guys, reach out. Don't feel shy. If you're ready, come. If you're not ready, it's okay. Yeah. And until next time, guys, bye bye. Tutaambia kwa heri. Bye.